Anna van Densky from the EU Reporter. I have a question to Mr. Lamberts, because Mrs. Harms said now are a lot about instruments. So you touched Danish issue of taking away assets. Are there any instruments at all at disposal of European Union to influence the policies or the strategies of governments, namely the Danish government, or it's entirely on the principle of subsidiarity as their sovereign decision?
There's a different role for the Parliament and for the Commission. The Commission has to wait until something has been adopted into law to react. So the instruments that are going to be being used in Poland, well, could be used in Denmark as well, but you cannot do it preemptively as the Commission. You have to do it afterwards. If you really want to influence the things ahead of time, well, I believe that this is this Parliament that should do that by raising the issue, putting it in the public debate, and even inviting, and this idea of Verhofstadt is a good idea, of inviting a representative of the Danish government in the Libe committee is a good idea, basically to raise the awareness on the issue and thereby hopefully influencing the decision. This is, I think, a smarter way of doing things rather than lecturing from a Brussels pulpit what is happening in member states, if you really want to prevent things from happening. Then again, if I think even beyond, basically, and there I refer also to what Rebecca just said, if you really want to influence the behavior of a government, for instance, in terms of taking a fair share of the burden of welcoming asylum seekers. Well, maybe it's not a very good thing if your peers in other governments are basically singing to the tune of the likes of Marine Le Pen. Case in point, Germany decided courageously to say, okay, well, we cannot just stand idle when millions of people are fleeing war. So Merkel takes a very responsible attitude by saying, okay, and people say it's irresponsible. I think it is responsible to say we have a responsibility. And then you have next door, France, big country, on an equal footing with Germany, I'm told, saying by the voice of Valls, la France ne peut pas accepter un seul réfugié de plus. And then a bit later on, this being a bit hard to sell, okay, we'll take 25,000 over 2 years. Well, 30,000 came into Greece since January 1st. Okay, so that's basically 2 weeks' worth of what Greece, well, less than 2 weeks' worth of what Greece is taking. So, why is he doing that? Well, because, well, these ideas of, well, you know, la France aux Français and we have enough foreigners here are seeping into traditional parties. How can then the government of France try to influence Denmark? That doesn't work. That doesn't work. I think that the way also to shape the debate is to take your own responsibilities and rather to sing or to howl with the wolves, behave as a responsible policymaker. And yes, that means sometimes being a bit ahead of your public opinion and reminding responsibility and not just playing with emotions. Emotions are important, but I think that as politicians, we have also a responsibility to look at facts and to, well, use the lever of responsibility rather than pure emotions.